All right, welcome back to the Vidmark podcast. It has been a while, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I've missed you. It's excited to get things started up again. And to kick things off, we have a guest, Jyssica Yelas, who is the founder and CEO of Style Opal, a ladies' first social media and communications agency, and the co-founder of Upper Left Ladies, a community of spiritual women and femme entrepreneurs. When she's not on a photo shoot or helping clients boost their Instagram game, she's likely reading about astrology, dancing with her cats in the kitchen, or just trying to keep her houseplants alive. Jess has graciously offered a special promo for a course that she puts on, which is called the Instagram Bootcamp, where you can receive a 10% discount if you visit their website and use the promo code VIDMARK. That's VIDMARK. You can also find it in the show description. And very awesome opportunity. Please feel free to take advantage of that. And with further ado, let's get things started. Welcome to VidMark, a podcast to give you the video marketing knowledge to always hit the mark. Let us help build your confidence with video strategy and content creation best practices. Join us weekly for pro tips and guest interviews as we explore the powerful communication tool of video. It's time to boost your business. Let's talk video. Jyssica, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Brian. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm appreciative that you kind of circled back around. We've been trying to get this podcast on the books for a while, and now it's finally happening. So I'm so excited. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background and your company.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. And like you said, we've been talking about it for a minute, and we connected at an event a couple years ago. And here we are now. Yes. So my business is called Style Opal. And I like to say we're ladies first social media and communications agency. So we do everything from I will be one-on-one consulting with entrepreneurs who want to become more magnetic online and find their messaging and share their stories on social, grow their communities there. And we also manage social media, create creative content. We kind of are running the gamut these days of online marketing with a focus on social. Yeah.
That's awesome. I kind of want to throw just like a random fun question in here because you're so experienced and on social media and style, and we'll dive into that and like fashion and how that plays a role. But what was your first social media that you hopped onto? Like, you remember back in the day, like what was the first one that you did?
I love this question. The first one that I was ever on.
Yeah.
Yes. So if I were to think back, does Zynga count? Do the original blogs count? Or I don't know if we were really talking on those. I remember I was on Zynga, but social media, I mean, and then I think, does AIM count as social media?
Oh man, this is some real throwbacks. Yeah, I mean, if you were doing like a bio on your AOL Instant Messenger, trying to make sure everything looked good and things were on brand to a degree. I know this is like a big cardinal sin, but I was using like Comic Sans, and now I've learned after going to school and learning that that's like but it's a classic, fourth grader mistake to use.
Back then, yeah, Comic Sans was it. I mean, yes. So I was on AIM. I had about 7 usernames. I would log on to them all at once, and it's a little intense. It's kind of like now I log into a bunch of Instagram accounts at once, except they're not all mine this time. But I would have little bios for each of them. Yes. And every day, I swear, I was like editing the colors and the fonts and the messages, and you could like hide things and make the emojis really big. And I thought that was a blast. That was probably the first social media, probably the first place that I became really into social media.
Yeah, and those were the early stages before everything was like even developed to where it is now. And I think it's just fun reflecting back on those early stages. Like, what was the foundation? What was like, where did the experimenting, the tinkering of figuring out like, I don't know, back then it was just for fun, but it grew into a passion, which you now help clients with. So maybe, do you want to talk about like how you help some of those clients? You said you're managing some accounts. What do you do for them?
Absolutely. So our business basically comes down to 3 things: content creation, management, and strategy. So a lot of times it'll start with a one-on-one call with me and usually a creative entrepreneur, or maybe it's somebody who oversees marketing or is doing social for another company if we're doing it that way. But usually we start with a deep dive into the company or the entrepreneur's values and their goals, and also if it's a one one person show. I do work with a lot of small businesses where the entrepreneurs trying to, they're wearing all the hats and they're managing their own socials. And when that's the case, we also start a lot with boundaries and mindset around social media. That's something I feel like is so important and needs to be talked about more and more. I think we do talk about it on a personal level, but even on the platforms themselves. So a lot of times we start there with honestly, mindset and boundaries around social media. And then we dive into strategy. And then, basically from there, we decide whether we at Style Opal, if our team's going to be managing their account or if they will be. And if they want them, they kind of the strategy will inform what kind of photos or videos should they have to help them meet their goals and to help them be seen in the way they want to be seen and attract their dream customers and clients. And then from there, we get to add on fun things like influencer marketing, like ads. We just started offering Pinterest. We might even be diving into some more fuller website services soon too. But we basically start from there, and that's kind of a small version of how the journey starts, unless they take my Instagram Bootcamp course, which is a blast as well, and starts in more of a group setting.
That's awesome. And that Bootcamp, that's been around for about a year now, or you've been...
Yeah, so I did the math, and I've actually been offering it every other year. I ran it 2 or 3 times live. But the last time I ran it live was just recently. But the Instagram Bootcamp is now available. It's evergreen now, which for those who are new to content marketing, it's available for you anytime you want it. You don't have to be on there live. But it was a blast, getting to, speaking of video, work on that and set up a kind of styled scene where I taught the modules from. And so now, anyone can take it at any time. And I think it's a fun way to kind of create your own strategy for the platform.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what I'm hearing is kind of like combination of like you do consulting, working with the client themselves, and then also having a training course, which is the teaching component, which is, I think that's awesome. Giving back and giving people an opportunity to tune in on their own time and learn from you. So that's awesome. And you mentioned either you guys will take over the account or the handle completely, or you allow the client to do that. I think that's really cool, having that combination. And they're just like, you're able to guide them along the way throughout this whole process. Because do a lot of clients come to you overwhelmed? Like, where do we begin? Like, how do we measure this? Like, what's kind of a classic scenario?
Absolutely. When it comes to kind of the mindset and boundaries piece, or
Sure.
so yes, a lot of overwhelm. Yes, there are a lot of emotions around folks and their social media that, need to be addressed. Also, a lot of comparisonitis that can come out of the social. So we talk about a lot of this in the beginning. And if we're working together on a regular consulting or coaching basis, which is also an option, this comes up a lot, or for our like done for you marketing clients on our touch base calls, because sometimes, we're doing their marketing for them, but they still the face of the company. So this will be a good time for them they're not as involved in the nitty gritty. So they can have the opportunity to jump on stories and show their face a couple of times a week, where we say every week or once a month, they're going to go live. But showing up on video itself can be overwhelming for people. It can be, something that, folks just need some encouragement and some tips on, and really like how to look good or sound clear, and really to just say their message they want to say and connect with whoever's listening on the other side, I think is the biggest thing. But in terms of overwhelm, there's so much I can say about that, from like Marie Kondoing your people you follow, aka like on a quarterly basis, think about who are you following, who kind of just makes you feel a little icky, or if you feel less than or feel FOMO, unfollow them. If you find that you're actually inspired, or like there actually is inspiration you can take, rather than just feeling weird feelings about that account, then keep following them. There's a lot we can say, but typically this is a huge part of where we start with working with clients, is kind of addressing these things. And I'm no mental health expert, but I have accumulated dozens and dozens of like tips and strategies for, keeping your focus, like showing up to serve the way that you're meant to serve, and to just express and communicate yourself and your brand the way that you want to, in a confident way, and also in a fun way.
Totally. I like that you address Yeah, that's like kind of the mental aspect of it, because yeah, you're putting yourself out there in the world, and there is like the social aspect of social media, and I think a lot of people forget that it's not just this channel where it's like a billboard that people are driving by. It's like, no, there's this interactive engagement component to it. We're looking for, comments and sharing, and yeah, it's a community.
Mhm.
Which I would tell everyone that's listening right now, definitely check out. Where would you want people to go to check out your Instagram? The Style Opal Instagram
Yes. Yes, our
would be a good place
Instagram.
to see it, or yeah, go into your website, and people can like get a really good sense for what all the work that you put out there is amazing. So I was looking at it this morning before this call, and it's just like blown away that um, one, you're fusing a lot of these different skill sets of that social. I think people listening to you right now know that you're like exude positivity and that good vibes, good energy, and then also the fashion or style design, which all those fuse together to make a really concise, thoughtful, you know, account.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. And yeah, I don't think I've even mentioned the style piece of it. I'm actually like looking at our business cards right now on my desk. I actually have some right now. But yeah, I got started as a stylist, wardrobe stylist and a writer. And so that kind of led me here because Instagram has been like my personal specialty for years. And it's an art and a science, but there's a lot of aesthetics like involved in it. It doesn't have to be all about how it looks. Of course, at the end of the day, it's going to be all about your message and how you're communing with your audience, with your community. But it's been, yeah, it's been a lot of fun to look back at that journey. And I still do wardrobe styling here and there personally, but it's a fun place to kind of, yeah, meld the two. Instagram is.
Yeah, because I was just like, yeah, looking at your LinkedIn with I was just curious what your thoughts were on how that like kind of fuses together, but you can definitely see it, come through in all your work. So for like a lot of people, I'm trying to think, if they don't have that kind of background, that's where they come to you. You can, help design a lot of the content pieces, do the content creation. But if they're kind of doing a hybrid of those two, so like, would a company, if they have a designer, they do some of the designing, then you guys help with the scheduling? um, how does that relationship usually work?
Yes, that's a good question. It can work that way if the client already has lots of content ready to go, or they have, a design team or something and they don't need that. We absolutely can design their content for social, whether it's photos, videos, or graphics. We can provide that. Sometimes a client does come in and they're like, we already have all these, assets, or we get these quarterly assets from HQ, or they just enjoy making the graphics. But a lot of the times we will make their graphics. It kind of depends on that end. And we also have started to offer GIFs, which is a lot of fun. Anytime, speaking about Instagram specifically, anytime you can utilize a video and then be like the closest thing to a video is a GIF or boomerang, right? Or the next thing, I should say a reel. Like I'm sure we'll get to reels, but reels are doing so well. Like if you can use reels in Instagram, please use reels. Like your reach will increase so much. But second to that is just any kind of video or like GIFs, which translate on Instagram as a video, which just do better. And people like to feel like it kind of gives more the feeling of being with you in person if you're on video. And if it's like a GIF from online, it's something entertaining. Um,
And
yeah,
I think it kind of stands out from what else is already out there.
it
Like
stands
everyone's
out.
posting out something, a static image, or just a line of text, but a GIF or GIF, however they say it, stands out big time. And like you mentioned, video. I always
Right.
like, it's like that immersive experience, and usually videos like are paired with some kind of music. It's going to
Hmm.
evoke emotion and make you feel good, or
Absolutely.
make you feel inspired, or whatever it is that the goal is with the piece of content.
Make you feel something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we haven't really talked about your company. How long have you guys been around? And maybe like in a nutshell, well, we have talked about it, but maybe in a nutshell, just like what motivated you to start it in the first place?
Yes. So we've been around. So I'll give like kind of the short version of the story. Um, Style Opal started as my style blog. Actually, I mentioned how it kind of was started in the style realm, and by no means do we only work with fashion or style related companies. I love that. We love that, but it's a lot of different lifestyle companies, a lot of wellness oriented companies, a lot of like purpose driven and even like spiritual entrepreneurs. But it started in I think it was 2014. I started it as a style blog. Talk about early social media. It was a Tumblr. It was a Tumblr
Awesome.
where I was documenting. Were you on Tumblr?
I never got onto Tumblr, but I knew people that were very fanatic about it, and like it was a whole community.
Yep.
Very
Oh
thriving.
yeah. It was fascinating. So I was definitely a little Tumblr girl. I mean, kind of. I was posting my outfits, and I was posting how living in Florence, Italy, I got to go to fashion school in Florence, Italy. So I was documenting kind of how that influenced my falling in love with fast fashion, where I was at the same time, learning about all of the negative parts about the fashion industry. And it really just was a huge kick in the ass for me to become involved in slow fashion and to help advocate for it. So I was blogging about that. I was blogging about my outfits and what I was observing around me and the styles and the makers and the pace kind of I was surrounded by then. And then that quickly, honestly, I was in an advertising class one day in school, and I was like, actually, I'm just going to make this a website. I know this is going to turn into a business. I remember like buying the domain that I have now, like in 14 or 15, I guess you could say 15. And from there, so I named it Style Opal basically because an opal, like if you look at the stone, a lot of opals, you can see every color of the rainbow in it. It's not just one color, and it's all influenced by the way it was made, the conditions under which it was formed, which I always say was the same about style. We don't have to be one thing. Like we don't have to be just purely rock and roll or boho, but we can do all of the things. We're totally multidimensional beings. And now I weave it in for brands in general. I encourage, brands to show their humanity, the different sides of them, not just the highs, but some lows too, just that multidimensionality again. And then let's see. So after school, essentially, I kind of fell into working with a boutique, doing lots of different things for them from even shipping and receiving. It was like a small company. I was in the basement of the owner's home doing some shipping and receiving, some product descriptions, some email marketing, some photo shoot assistant production. And the thing that stuck with social media that was growing pretty quickly. It was going really well. And that was even at the time where it was, normal to post 3 times a day, which is wild to think about where we are now. But essentially grew kind of naturally from there in terms of spreading the word of mouth kind of happening, and the owner's friends asking if I could, it was just me then manage their social, and then kind of grew from there. And I will say that boutique owned a shoe store, which was the last job I had before I was full-time in this in 2017. But a woman walked into that shop and she noticed I was taking an Instagram course actually, and she was taking the same one. And we ended up chatting, and and she became my first ever business coach who helped me, package these things up, my passions and the things that I'm good at helping people with into services. And I helped her with her social. And I always love to give a little shout out to Amy Duchesne, my first business angel. But it kind of grew from there. And now we get to help folks with all kinds of online marketing. But it's always started with social. Instagram has always been the first place we tend to look at with clients.
Oh man, that's a pretty awesome story. It's almost like by fate that you guys were taking the same Instagram course and connected, and having a coach along the way through this messy journey of being an entrepreneur, the highs and lows of being an entrepreneur can be a game changer. So no, that's exciting. And then you said lean towards Instagram, just because maybe it's like a more visual platform. And
yes, I think it's because in terms of Instagram though, beyond just, I think it's a lot of fun, and it's engaging and it's visual, and there's so many different fun tools and way to use it and engage with each other. But Instagram has an advertising audience of 1.16 billion. It's huge. It's one of the most popular and engaged social media platforms, especially for folks who are millennials, maybe some Gen Z, but with people with probably the most spending power too. You're talking, millennials up to maybe some boomers too, but a lot of folks who are targeting an audience kind of in these age ranges who are, the most, I would say, like interested in following new brands and engaging with them online, especially the more visually oriented ones, are all on Instagram. And so many people, there's a lot of people who open Instagram up like 10 times a day, people
Oh
are on
yeah.
it a lot. So if you are a brand who's looking to target demographics that are there, like it's all about going where your audience is. And yeah, Instagram is, people are all up on Instagram so many times a day.
Oh yeah, it's a good platform for like, yeah, people are on there and then they do a good job of giving you content so that way you stay engaged and it's entertaining or informative. Just a good community for learning about stuff or connecting with other people. Gosh, where was I gonna go with Instagram? It'll probably come back to me. Maybe you want to talk about what's your favorite part about being an entrepreneur, or favorite part of working with businesses, helping them grow and whatnot.
Yes. Yeah. My favorite part about working with entrepreneurs and small businesses, I honestly just love connecting with these entrepreneurs. I love connecting one-on-one. I started working in social because I am myself extremely social. And we just came out of the pandemic, right? And I know a lot of us, I think usage on Instagram and Facebook increased by 50%. And, I was definitely a part of that. It was like, let's hang out online. Let's go on lives together. I had like an Instagram live weekly thing called 3 things at 3:33 or 3 tips at 3:33. But I love connecting with entrepreneurs. And I honestly just, what lights me up, what gets me excited is talking with them and helping them gain confidence about sharing their message, about getting comfortable. I don't know about selling, sure, but also just showing up and like letting themselves be seen and helping them realize that the gifts that they have and the things that they're really good at and the thing that their product service can help folks with, like, is needed, and helping them with their mindset with social. Like I said, it does have such a big impact on some folks' mental health. And then also giving them freedom. I love connecting with them one-on-one in those conversations about the things that we all go through, but then also part of the reason I'm in this business is for freedom. I can do it mostly remote except for photo shoots. And then when we manage their social, they get so much time back. It's like, what would you do with an extra 10 plus hours a week, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I love hearing that kind of feedback from clients too, about they just feel like their mind isn't clogged with that anymore. They get to spend more time with their family or travel or whatever you want, because it is such a big habit for some people to just open Instagram up several times a day, which can get draining, when really it's going to better serve you and your business to have more concentrated times where you do your post creation or your engagement, and have that kind of segmented out in a more structured way, or have someone else do it for you, right?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Where, yeah, like maybe batching it. So like you do a bunch of posts, like design them and, do the conceptualization all at once, rather
Yes.
than, yeah, doing the one off. And, yeah, I'm starting to think back on that other question I was thinking of. Yeah, that's why I'm so glad to bring you on this podcast, is because I remember seeing your presentation live and you had all these stats and really broke it down on a contextual level. Because I think, like we talked at the beginning of this podcast, it can get overwhelming. So working with someone like yourself can really break it down and make it digestible. And I just love that, being able to free up people's time and free up their worries and free up their creative resources, because it does take a lot of creative juices to come up with all of this posts. And so I think that's just awesome.
Definitely.
I think kind of like shifting gears a little bit, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on like influencer marketing. I think I see you as an influencer to a degree too. So very cool having like our first influencer on the podcast. Do you want to explain, I don't know, however you want to take this, if you want to talk about your own journey or if you want to talk about what it takes to like work with influencers, I'd be curious just like your thoughts.
Yes. So great question. And two things I want to say to start is, one, everybody has some degree of influence, like, and I would be called like a nano influencer because I have like a little under 5,000 followers, but they're very engaged. We do have conversations, and I do have proof, that I can show companies that sometimes they buy the products and services that I talk about. And then the other thing is, first thing is everyone has a level of influence because everybody has some level of impact. So we can talk about, there's a big spectrum of like what influence can look like. And second, I think that every company, every brand out there can benefit from some level of influencer marketing, whether that, and that might look like an affiliate program rather than influencer marketing, or it might look like, seeding out your product to 20 influencers and having them shout it out and mention these few key things and mention how it plays a story or a role in their life or their day or their routine. But influencer marketing has, as blown up in the last few years, and it's expected to grow to have a net worth of 13.8 billion this year. That was what was expected, growing from 1.7 billion in 2016. Brands are definitely more and more recognizing the value of it because it's huge. Nobody wants to, it's one thing to hear about a product or service from a brand, from the company themselves. Like, of course, they're going to be selling that thing to you. But it's another thing if I'm telling you, hey, Brian, I found this, new, I don't know, t-shirt company, or you can make your own, designs on there. And I love it because this, and this. You'd be like, oh yeah, you'd be more likely to go with that, right? To use that rather than just seeing an ad, right? So it's really, it's oftentimes depending on what level of influencer you're working with, which we can speak to as well. They're all going to have an impact just in a different way. But I will say it's one of the most cost-effective ways to create UGC, which is user-generated content for your product or service. It's one of the easiest, again, most cost-effective ways to just have, organic marketing for your product or service, and basically to get whatever you're offering in front of new eyes. Just new eyeballs is really what you're paying for when you're working with an influencer. You're getting your product or service in front of, like, ideally an audience that is super similar to your ideal audience, and they already trust the person that is posting about it. They like them, they trust them. And if you're looking to potentially get into influencer marketing as a brand, maybe you want to start out, I would say one of the best things you can do is look at the potential influencers. I don't want to get too nitty gritty because I'm happy to kind of break down a miniature version of what a campaign might look like. But I'll say, first of all, just look at the kind of content they're sharing and look at their comment section and see if they truly do, have a community of folks who are responding to the thing they're posting about, responding to the thing in their caption, are, excited, engaged, and are not just saying like, great post or you look so cute, but they are responding about the actual message and story. And there's a conversation there is one of the best things that you can do for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so green on like influencer marketing. So you kind of mentioned there, like you can seek them out individually and like kind of start a conversation with them. I'm sure like a lot of them have rates that they'll send over. I imagine there probably are like third parties that manage. They're like, management houses for influencers. Does Style Opal do that for your clients? Help connect with influencers or?
Yes, absolutely. We do influencer marketing for companies. And then I do one-on-one consults with influencers themselves. If there's somebody who would like to grow in their influencer career or to work with more brands, we can do that as well one-on-one, or they'd probably be a good fit for the Instagram bootcamp. But yes, what we typically do at Style Opal for influencer marketing for brands is usually we're looking at micro and nano influencer seeding. And so when it comes to rates, like it truly can be across the board. And there's certain little calculators you can find online to show you maybe a guide of what to pay an influencer. And influencers will have their certain rates, but what we'll do typically is, if you like me, I can kind of break down what we might do to create and execute a campaign for a client in like a short version.
Sure. Just for people that maybe have like never done and never worked with an influencer, just from like that mindset.
Absolutely. So let's see, if we were to, so I just as an influencer did a project with a sustainable toothbrush company, for example, who is like a biodegradable toothbrush and like a whole sustainable toothbrushing kit. So we'll pretend that I'm gonna meet with that company. So basically, yeah, we'll have a call and we will be like, why do you want to explore influencer marketing? Influencer marketing, what are your goals with your business right now? Are you looking for UGC? Are you looking for brand awareness? Are you looking for like more brand engagement? Are you looking to drive sales? And their goals will definitely impact the kinds of influencers that we go to look for, as well as we always create a little campaign deck for them with basically an introduction of the brand, with here's what we're looking for in a post. And this is why we like working with folks like you. Here's what we're looking for in a post. I will definitely list out a few different specs, like mention something about this verbiage in your post, please, and handle the handles to tag and a hashtag to use, and a couple of guidelines, a couple of maybe do's and don'ts. You do want to keep it simple, and you do want to, almost above all, just give that creator the creative space to create what they do best, right? If there's somebody you want to work with, there's a reason why you were attracted to them. So definitely giving them enough creative freedom is key to a successful campaign. But I was going to say, a lot of the influencer campaigns we do with brands are micro influencers or nano influencers. And a lot of the campaigns we're doing are seeding. So it is trade for, they ship the product out and we say, if you like it, post about it on your feed or your stories. But we also do some paid campaigns in there as well. It kind of depends on the company and like where the value is brought in there. But to go back to nano influencers, that would be, a nano influencer is essentially anybody who has under 10,000 followers. So yeah, like I was saying, I would fall into that category. And a lot of times nano influencers are so excited to work with brands. They're, newer, they're not getting, I don't know about newer, but they have like a smaller or niche community who is really engaged, and, they're excited. They're able to get to all their DMs, and it's really good it can be actually really good for driving sales and brand engagement, and kind of focusing in on like a smaller niche area too, depending on goals. And then micro influencers is typically, I will say, like 10K to 50K influencers. This ebbs and flows a little bit, but that's kind of what I look at as a micro influencer. So they will help a little more with the brand awareness piece because they have a bigger following, and also probably conversions. But that being said, one of the biggest things I can advise for brands who are looking to work with influencers is, sometimes just because an influencer has 20,000 followers doesn't even mean that a few thousand folks are seeing their post. Something that's not public to all of us when we go to people's Instagram profiles is their reach and their impressions. So we can publicly see their engagement, and engagement's good. That's great. We want to see those conversations and see that they do have a community, see that folks are responding and talking about whatever it is they're posting about. But also, I know somebody with 20,000 followers, and I think it's 14,000 followers, and she has around the same, or I might have more of a average reach and impression than her, just because of the community that I have, or the community someone else has. So it's interesting to look at the reach and impressions, because yeah, follower count can be deceiving, and that's definitely not all that matters. I'm excited that brands are leaning more into micro and nano influencers too. It just comes across more authentic. They're excited. They're more likely to over deliver, and there's a lot of folks that they're creating awesome content that would love to work with your brand. They're looking to bring on new partnerships.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, thank you for breaking that down. Yeah, the micro
Yes.
and nano, and that's a good point that you bring up. Yeah, I think a lot of people get hung up on the number of followers, and you want to look beyond that and see, like, underneath the hood, what's actually happening. Are they actually getting engagement from their audience? Is the community actually thriving? Something that I wanted to ask you about, or like something that I think maybe gets like into like maybe the meta of all of this, but we live like in this like there's so much information out there that like now it's like, who can you trust on those sources? And so like if there's your favorite nano influencer, you trust what they have to say, or maybe they've had done some good recommendations in the past. And so I don't know, maybe you want to speak to like this whole like kind of world of trust that we live in, because now we get bombarded. There's so many different ways of getting information. And so there's like an influencer in my mind is a filter, like they're filtering out all this like noise and giving you, you know, the most helpful information for you.
Right. That's such a good way to look at it. That's why I would follow an influencer, you know. That may not, because if I resonate with her style or her lifestyle really, and I want ideas for where to travel or what to use, if I know she uses sustainable products, for example. So ways to build trust, or like how influencer marketing can be a place for building trust.
Yeah. I'm just like thinking meta, thinking
Totally.
outside.
I know it gets so meta in this world. It's crazy. But one of the biggest things that, I mean, brands or influencers, that you'll want to do on Instagram, and it's part of the reason why you don't want to always be selling all the time. Like sometimes I say 3-to-1 serve to sell ratio, like serve, sell, you know, and selling can look different for product-based businesses versus service-based businesses, of course, but social media is where you build trust. I mean, so is your newsletter, so is your blog, you know, your website, wherever your free content resources are. But this is a place for you. You get the opportunity to really provide like free value to folks, and that's what builds trust. And also, if you're an influencer and they've your followers have tried products here before, and they were like, yeah, you weren't just shouting out because you got paid to do it. Like it really worked well for me, you know, and then they see those patterns and follow those patterns. And like I know I, for example, don't really I only collaborate with products that are sustainable or have a sustainable angle to them. And I'm hoping, you know, I hope to help people find those companies. But I will definitely say, because a lot of people will find you on social media for the first time, no matter if you're a brand or an influencer. If you're an influencer, obviously they'll find you on social media first. But for a brand, social media is one of the best places for brand awareness in general. A lot of people will be first discovering you on social, and then from social, of course, you want to bring them onto your website and your email list. From there, go down the funnel. But this is a place for you to build that like, know, and trust factor. This is a place for you to, show them who you are, show them your personality, show them, you know, case studies, share in fun ways, but really just serve value, builds trust.
Yeah, no, I think well put, because like you mentioned, you're trying to, you know, build that trust, build that community, and send them over to your website and get them in the process of learning more about your company, and then eventually signing up for, you know, consultation or maybe buying your product, whatever it might be. Do you want to talk about, I think we've talked about some of the short-term benefits, or maybe you can talk about the short-term and long-term benefits of social media. Because like a post that you did a year ago might still get some traction today based on the algorithm. Maybe not a year, but maybe something that you posted 2 or 3 weeks ago will, like, because the algorithms will come back into play. So like, it's kind of this snowball that keeps building on itself. You know, you start small, and then as you build up momentum with your posts, you're able to get a lot of traction, right?
Definitely.
That was like such an old school. That was such an old person term to use, like snowball, like rolling down.
I love it. Let me. I think it's great. Let me think about that just for a second, if that's okay. Because I know I can talk about repurposing content in long term. They're just being like an archive of valuable posts and things. But I will say I can speak about how it takes like 7 touch points. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, I'm all over the place with these questions for the audience.
No
we prepared some stuff, but I like just wherever things roll and make it conversational. But yeah,
absolutely.
Your thoughts are.
So immediately, short term for social media. In the short term, like I just said, like that's where folks are going to discover you for the first time. So you want to capture them in that moment, like in the first 10 to 30 seconds, somebody's going to find you on Instagram or social media in general and decide whether or not they want to follow you. So it needs to be apparent, you know, you get to create a profile where it's really apparent what you do and how you can help them. You want it to be apparent that they're going to get some kind of value out of following you right away. So usually you're going to want to link to a free resource or something like a blog or a free download in your link in bio, and write that in your bio. Make it apparent in your bio just how your company or you help them, how you can, and it's really helpful to address their pain point and kind of how you help them solve that in your bio if you can in a creative way. But in the short term, it's brand awareness. It's how it's them finding you for the first time. And then long term, right, you start to capture them or build relationships with them. We forget a lot of this comes down to relationship building, especially if you have a service-based business. For example, social media management is not a small investment, right? But so somebody might start following us on social, and we start commenting with them, DMing with them. Maybe we have a little coffee chat or something. And for products, especially, in a lower price range, like for a lot of products anyways, it takes seven touch points to drive a sale, right? So that'd be social, and it'd be newsletter, it'd be your website, it'd be, but they have to be hearing you from for several times usually before they're ready to purchase. If you have a high ticket service, like we do, it might take a year, to convert, but then they do. And then they're with you for a while, and they trust you. They know you're an expert because they've been following you and seeing you post all these tips consistently, and they've learned a lot from you already. They are ready to trust you with their voice or whatever it is. Also in the long term, you're really building this archive. And I will talk about how we don't need to be on the content creation hamster wheel all the time too, but you're creating basically an archive of valuable content and things for folks finding you for the first time to go back and reference, or you're creating an archive of content, for yourself and for them. People forget that we can repurpose content, that we should really be repurposing content, because we're not meant to be, content creation machines on a hamster wheel of all the time. I need to create this really valuable post. But what I would say for people, what people can do is go to their Instagram analytics, and which is going to be at the top right hand of your corner of your profile. You can click that and then click to your analytics. I would really encourage people to, on a monthly basis, look at their most engaged posts from the last year, or their posts with the most comments or clicks to their website in the last year, and see if they can repurpose that content and repurpose it for not just your social. And you don't even have to mention that it was a post from a while back. You can if you want to, but you're going to have gained new followers and new community members since then. So you can put on your social, but also you can put it on your blog. You can put it on your newsletter. It's a lot of fun, I think, to see just where you can repurpose these older posts, right? They're going to be new to other people. So long term, it's of course making sales, but then also you're having just such a giant library of content to repurpose time and time again.
Yeah,
as well
definitely.
as build relationships.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that, because it's like, the science aspect comes into play, where reviewing what's working, and then once you kind of have seen, you've put some content out there, you see what's starting to work, and then you can just build upon the successes and repurpose things. I like how you mentioned that you don't have to say that, hey, some of you might have saw this 3 months ago when I posted this. You just go right into it, and it'll be new and fresh for anyone that's seen it for the first time, or even people that saw it months ago maybe forgot about it. Or if you put a little bit of a tweak on it, so it looks something of a facelift, then it could be better.
Exactly. Yeah. You can tweak it a little bit and it's even better. And another thing for the long term, back to kind of, back to more, things that like move the needle in your business too. Like say you start to offer, you can upsell people to use, a marketing term, right? Like if you're offering, if you're a florist who's usually selling bouquets and smaller arrangements, and now you offer, flow bow and event florals, or you just like you've grown, they've grown, and you've been like in communication for years together. And this is where it comes back to relationships, right? You're like, oh, now I offer, full event florals and subscriptions, and you have these things that they're now ready to jump onto that will benefit you both. But because they've been following you for a long time, and you've been, you've built that trust factor, they're more likely to join you and hop onto that product or service that is at a bigger level, or maybe helps you scale too.
Definitely. Oh, that's awesome. And I like that you bring it back to the like no trust factor.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, baby.
That's awesome. All right, so now I have a little bit more of a like selfish question here. So do you have any tips for like simplifying or making the content creation process easier for people?
I'm so glad you brought this up. Yes. So in any client who I do a consult with, or if you join my Instagram bootcamp or anybody we work with, we're always going to hone in on your content pillars. So basically the regular themes for the posts that you're going to be creating and sharing on a regular basis. This can also relate to your other content marketing channels like your blog, your podcast, your email. But what we always do is create, these content pillars. So I'll back it up and say every piece of content you share, every, post should either inspire or educate, inform, or entertain. It should hit one of those. And it's good to always ask yourself, what's the why behind this post? Like, why am I posting this before you hit share too? Because it's easy to just think you need to post a post, but there needs to be a reason behind it. Like, what are they going to get out of it? Is it going to hit one of those 4 points? So something every business can benefit from is looking at those 4 themes and create a content pillar for themselves out of it. So for a video marketer, for example, inspire. So one of your content pillars is like, could be sharing from your entrepreneurial story or a story of somebody who inspires you and why. People love to hear the personal, right? And then for the inform category, you can speak to what makes your brand and your processes unique. Like for each of our video shoots, we always start with this ritual for kicking it off, or this whatever makes your company special or your process special, right? And then we did inspire, inform. Then for educate, there's so much we can do in educate. Make sure you always have an educational content pillar in your rotation where you're just, again, serving free value, like giving tips for showing up on video, for example. And then let's see, entertain. The 4th one, there's so much you can do with that. That could be a funny meme or GIF, or it could be you making a reel, which again, everybody needs to be making reels. At least try it. And just watch your reach and impressions compared to your other posts. But entertain could be all kinds of things too. But what you can do, and I would actually, I usually advocate for 5 content pillars and you just using the educational one twice. So really, if you were to sit down, you could literally, your content calendar could look like this. It could look like inspire, educate, entertain, educate, inform, and you could just post something from those cues over and over again, 4 times a week or whatever works for you. But just basically go on that consistent rotation will definitely bring in the kinds of people you're looking for, combined with other strategies and hashtag strategies, of course, and it will engage them. It will give them free value. It will help retain your followers and help towards that conversion we're looking for. And most of all, give you your time back, because that's one of the main reasons I think we need to streamline these things, right?
Definitely. I love that. That's awesome. Having those different buckets or pillars, as you call them, and rotating through, and having a purpose behind it. And you mentioned at the beginning that, just taking a breath and saying why, not just doing it just to do it, but actually, how are you serving your audience? What value are you bringing to them? And I'm sure there's a little bit of a timing piece in there too, like what's happening out in the real world. Are you able to like sync that up with some of the things that are in your database?
Absolutely. And that's come up a lot in 2020, 2021, of course, right? With all the pivoting, like they've heard that word so many times, we're all sick of it. But yes, so I mean, from there, if we're to talk about like a miniature, like a small version of what you do from there, you definitely would like to, you take those pillars and apply them to a content calendar, ideally, where first you're looking at what's going on in the world, what's going on in your country, what's going on in your local community, then what's going on in your business. And I like to have a little Google Sheets, for example. You could go as easy as a Google Sheets document where you, in a color, you put in these holidays or these launch dates and these things that are going to inform your post. And then basically the easiest thing you could do, like I was saying, is post those 5 things over and over again. But of course, you're going to have launch periods, or there's going to be holidays, or there's going to be national events or social justice issues you want to speak on, right? So I would say those 5 content categories are a backbone and something you can come back to and say, are these posts at least doing one of these 4 things? But really, I would start with, of course, the things that's mentioning from the content calendar, from holidays, dates, launches, things you have going on. And of course, make sure you have posts speaking to those things. But then beyond that, kind of fill in the blanks with these, again, the educate, inform, entertain, and inspire. And I will say the lighter ones, like entertain and inspire, are really good for the weekends. The other 2, anything that's like actionable or gives them something to do right away, or is more sales heavy, depending on the business, are good for weekdays.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, no, I think that's excellent. I know we're kind of getting closer on time, and we've talked about Reels a little bit. Do you want to deep dive into Reels maybe a little bit more? And I do want to tell everyone that's watching, like, go check out your Instagram if they haven't already. And you did a 5 tips for putting together a reel not too long ago. But yeah, so maybe kind of give us like a status update on like where Reels are at. I think they've been around for like a couple months now. They're pretty new. They're like kind of the competitor to TikTok.
Right. So yeah, if anybody's just finding out about Reels, yeah, it's basically Instagram's version of TikTok, these quick 15 or 30-second snackable pieces of content where, again, somebody's either going to be educating you, inspiring you, entertaining, right? Like there's something you're getting out of it, and you don't have to usually think too much. It's just like it's concise, right? But Instagram really wants you to be using this function. So some would say it's a myth, but I have seen, everybody who's tried Reels for the first time, like I was mentioning earlier, their reach and impressions just go at least like 3 times more than their static posts will. But there's so many ways, you could use it. I think they've been around for, I want to say like a year or so, but there are so many ways to use Reels. But really, some of the best Reels I would say are educational or entertaining, depending on your business model and what you offer. But yes, and let's see, some of the best things I think you could do is go on there and show your face. First of all, people love to see your face, or if you are a larger company, somebody on your team. And give a few tips, or kind of create a truth bomb or show behind the scenes. But one of the best things you can also do for the analytics and increasing your reach and impressions with Reels too is using trending audio. So anytime you're watching a reel, which they'll definitely show up on your feed, depending on the way you tend to engage with Instagram, you'll see different kinds of content first, but a lot of us will see Reels on our explore page or on our home page, and it'll just start playing. It's a video, and then it sucks you and you click it, and then all of a sudden you're on a rabbit hole of Reels, right? But when you're on a single reel, at the bottom it'll show you what filter they used, if they use an Instagram filter, and it'll also tell you what audio they used. And I would click on the audio, and when you click on the audio, you can see everybody that's using the audio to create their reel. And I would definitely look at their view count. So if it has a K next to it, if it's at least like, if some of them have 10,000 views or more, or even like, in the like 3,000 range, depending on where your account usually falls and what your views usually look like. If you notice, there are a lot of reels in this audio gaining traction. That means people are, they're in this section of Instagram, in this audio page. This gets a little nitty gritty, but it's definitely worth jumping onto. And what you do from there, if you're like, okay, yeah, this song or this audio clip is getting a lot of traction, these reels are getting a lot of views, you're going to want to click save this audio at the top, click save audio. And then the next time you go to create a reel, when you add in your audio, it will be there saved for you. And you'll just be even more likely to pop up on people's feeds that way. But you can get really simple, or you can get really complex with reels, because we create reels with folks too. And, pricing's just all over the place, as I'm sure you can relate to with video, right? But you can go as simple as, here's three fun facts about me. How about you? Like you answer these, I'll answer these questions. Now you answer these questions. Or you can show, there's so many fun transitions that you can do too. And I'm sure we could jam on that forever because it's video, right? And
Totally.
it's like, is everybody a is everybody a video editor in some regard? Like it takes a lot of time and effort. Like if you're going to do those like really visually fascinating ones. But usually if you're a business, like just again, serve value in some way, give them something to walk away with.
Yeah, doing
And
something. Yeah.
watch the magic happen.
I like that. Thank you for like breaking that down. I didn't even think of like what are the different components that people are using to put together their reels and then building upon that. Cause I'm sure there's like a trending audio clip that could be going around. And if you use it, it just helps with that visibility and just being like on the ball with what's happening in the world. So,
yeah.
I think that's awesome. And then did you want to mention, I think you had a success story using reels. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So here's, one easy example of why you should use reels. And like I said, it's usually like 3 times when you post reels, it's like the 3 times the amount of reach and impressions we typically get on a post. But I've just seen people's businesses blow up from using reels or from using TikTok and or reels. And I will say, I have a friend who spoke at Upper Left Summit. I have another business called Upper Left Ladies. It's a community of conscious entrepreneurs. It's a whole other business. And that's upperleftladies.com if anyone feels aligned with that. But we had a speaker there who speaks about women in finance and growing their wealth and their investment portfolios. And she started posting on TikTok every day. And then basically she would take that TikTok and add it to reels. And you do want to take off. If people listening to this want to Google how to remove the TikTok watermark, by the way, that's the best way to go about cross-posting this content because Instagram algorithm doesn't really like having the TikTok watermark on there. Surprise. But I'll say I've just seen her go to 1 million followers just because she like has been posting really valuable content like she's been doing it really consistently. It is really about consistency. And that was on TikTok, but it's also helped grow her Instagram followers a lot. But I will say, like, there's been so many people who I've talked to. I'm like, you should try reels. You should try reels. And there is a little hump of a lot of people are scared about showing up on video or just how the tech part of it, like how the heck do I do this? And we recently did an influencer campaign for a sexual wellness company, and they gifted this product to an influencer, a nano influencer, and she created a reel about it. It was her first reel, but we were mentioning on the campaign deck, like I was referencing earlier, here are all the ways you could go about this. And because she's a nano influencer, and maybe she has like 3,000 followers, 2,000 followers, but still a person with, a good amount of influence. Imagine those amount of people in the room, that amount of people in the room, I should say. She was like, oh, I've always been scared to make reels. And she finally made a reel about her experience for shopping for sexual wellness products and how it used to look and how it looks now. And it was just hilarious. She's a very like entertaining person. So if you are an outgoing person who likes to express themselves, you especially need to be making reels. But she was like, that video had like 10,000 views or something. And usually her posts maybe she got 300 people looking at her posts, and she just saw the results of that, essentially that video, that reel, and like how much exposure it got. And she's been making reels now, once a week or just more consistently. And you can see her, her followers and engagement growing like up and up and up. And it's just fun for me to see somebody go from like, I was kind of scared and I was thinking about it, I know I should do it, and then see it impacts their business in real ways. And now she was building the reels, she was giving content, and now she has something to sell them. She has a new coaching program, and I noticed she's getting a lot more engagement on those posts, and I would guess that it's impacting her sales too. I know for a fact that especially if you're growing your audience through these ways, and you have even just something at like a lower price point to start them at, that's a really good way to drive sales and to kind of get them into your funnel or community, right away. Start with like that free value. Like I said, again, and then they can kind of go down the rest of your sales funnel, so to speak. But
Totally. No, that's exciting. That's awesome. So a very exciting success story of a client that maybe didn't really prioritize, and now they prioritize and make it a big deal. And like, so her first post ever got 10,000 like views.
yeah,
That's incredible.
you can, and once you see how that can happen, you just want to make more. They might not all go, get that many views. It depends on your business, and like it depends on so many things, like the reel itself and the audio, right? But it's impacting her account in a real way. And it's exciting to live in this world now where video is so prioritized and people are seeing the value of it more, right? I would love to know what you think of that too, as like a video specialist, right?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, like all of these apps have made it so much easier, and phones are more powerful than they've ever been. Used to be like you had to get all that footage, put it on your computer, then you had to like work from a computer database. Now you can do that straight from your phone, and the databases, or not the databases, but the softwares themselves are built into the built into Instagram, built into TikTok, and you can edit directly from those platforms. Yeah, I mean, you've already mentioned a lot of them: showing your face, being engaging. If you have the personality for it, definitely utilize it. It's not for everyone. Not everyone has wants to be in front of the camera, but maybe that's something like we've mentioned, there's so many different facets of it. Like, how do you measure success? For some people, it could just be like they want to get more comfortable speaking. So like this is that way for them to develop that skills. But for other people, it's driving a customer to convert the sale, or maybe it's just growing a community. So I love that you mentioned that, like focusing on the goals, like what is someone actually trying to accomplish, and starting from there, I think because it is such a custom for every single person, custom pricing, custom scenario, whatever their industry, all of those are big factors that play into the overall strategy.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, we're kind of getting close on time here. I was just curious. So, I love asking people this, like, do you have any predictions for this year? Kind of like as 2021, like a new tool that people should be incorporating, something that some way that you see seeing the market going.
Yes. I'm not sure if anyone's talked about Clubhouse at all on your podcast yet, but I was just about to mention that Clubhouse has gotten a lot of traction this year, and I think it will continue to, even though the like initial buzz about it has died down, but still, Clubhouse, for anyone who's not heard of it, is it's a audio drop-in social media platform. So you can go in these rooms and you'll have speakers or a panel, and there'll be just folks chatting. And it's audio only though. So if you're somebody who is getting comfortable, you would like to become comfortable on photo or video, but you can start with your voice, right? And maybe that's why people like podcasting too. But if you combine it with video, even better. But Clubhouse has been gaining a lot of traction. And I think it only will continue to once the beta phase is over, because I think right now it's just for iPhone users. But part of the reason I think this is because right now it's 2021. I know somebody could be listening to this at any time, but in-person events have gone down. Like you and I met at the influencer marketing event, and then I swear COVID happened. It feels like it happened right after. And so Clubhouse is a great way to it's like a great way to get people from anywhere who in the same room who maybe have a certain level of influence or just can all speak to a certain topic. And it gives you a really intimate feeling. And you can also bring guests up on stage. People can raise their hands, and it's just so easy because you can join from anywhere. And then also, obviously, I think reels are still just on the rise, and honestly, anything that makes your viewer feel like they're there with you and hanging out with you is always going to do better. I think we're going to just move more and more in the direction of more AR, right? Which Instagram filters and all the different interactive points are showing us and are doing really well. But also things like Instagram live rooms. That's a new product that not many people, honestly, I don't see many people using it yet, but that's another way to kind of like have an event. I know in-person events are coming back, but you can still have these virtual events bringing people in from all over the world. And Instagram live rooms is great because there can be 4 of you there having a conversation. You can just have so much more of a dynamic event or conversation or panel or Q&A session So I think we'll see more of that. And honestly, just also things getting stripped down a little more, less filtered, less perfect. People want to see the real. People want to see you talking about your journey and even, the emotional bits of it too. Like a lot of people, like I said, are struggling with their mental health on social. And I think the more that we just show up in a real way, and that's why TikTok is blowing up, for example, is because, yeah, well, Gen Z drives a lot of that, but they're all just, it's not that heavily edited or thought out a lot of times. They're just kind of showing up and creating what they want to create in the moment. The more folks lean into that, and also even just take the kind of content you might put in stories because you want to test it out, or because that's where you're comfortable sharing your face. Like, put whatever content you're putting in stories in your feed because it'll get more views. It will live there longer, and just more and more video,
Yeah, video keeps me in the mood. No, I think that's excellent. It's been, I think the tools, like, they're more accessible now, and it's a little bit more seamless, and it's not as clunky as it used to be. Like, Skype never had any of this functionality, but yeah, doing Clubhouse where you can raise your hand or get people on stage, and it just like has a more of a room feel. And yeah, we're getting closer, and you have AR, VR, all of that stuff like right on the rise. So who knows, maybe next time we're doing this interview, we'll be in a 3D world with headsets on.
Right. I know. Yeah. We have an AR designer on the team. We've been starting to offer Instagram filter design. And I think that's so fun because you can like gamify it. Honestly. Yeah. Quick tip for y'all. Anytime you can gamify your content, like make it into a little game, like that's engaging. What's more engaging than a game? Like,
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It has, it has a degree of difficulty, you accomplish it, and there's a reward. So it's like that kind of habit cycle built into all the games. So
right.
Jyssica, this has been awesome having you on the podcast. I know that you are very knowledgeable about all things social, especially Instagram, and then you're just so passionate and like happy to help and share your knowledge with people. So what's a good way for people to get in contact with you? We'll put the info in the show notes, but is it a consultation? What does that first process look like with you?
Yeah, well, you can find us at styleopal.com, opal like the stone, or at Instagram at the style opal. And my personal one is Jyssica Yelas, which is JyssicAYelas. But yeah, absolutely. So go take a look at our social and website. And if you feel like we might be a fit, or if you would like to chat about some ideas on how to make content marketing work for you, more fun, maybe hone on your social media mindset and boundaries, and then strategy or content creation, we do offer free 20-minute phone calls to get to know each other and see if we could be a fit and give some value off the bat. And there's a link for that on our website as well. So it's styleopal.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Jyssica, for coming onto the podcast. Jyssica Yelas, everybody.
Thank you for having me. So this was so much fun, and I love jamming on this with you, especially somebody who knows video so well. So I appreciate, the opportunity and the chance to jam on social and video with you.
Definitely. It's been awesome. All right, everyone. That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to VidMark, a place for all your video marketing needs. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and tune in every Thursday morning on either iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and more. For a behind-the-scenes look and some bonus tips, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next time, good luck with your video marketing efforts, and remember, always hit the mark.